Welcome back. It's still 2016 in retrospect, and we're talking about the economy. Of course, you met our panelists just before we went on that quick break. Dr. Boniface Chizia is an economist, and Dr. Ezekiel Adeleye is also an economist, sitting to my far left. And to my very far left is Comrade Amechi Asogoni, who is the Vice President of Nigeria Labour Congress. And still joining us on the program from our studios in Abuja is the Specialist Advisor to the President on Media, Mr. Femi Adesina. So, Sulaiman, let's quickly listen to this report. It's still on the economy, was put together by Channel's Business News editor, taking a look at 2016 on the economy.
It is a year Nigeria and Nigerians will not forget in a hurry. It was the first time since post-Civil War of 1970 that the economy ran into a recession. The foreign exchange market melted, and the people looked desperately to the Buhari's administration for answers and solutions. The outgoing year took off on a troubled note, no thanks to the various controversies surrounding the new budget and the spate of militant attacks on oil facilities in the Niger Delta. By the end of the first quarter, it was obvious that Africa's largest economy was heading into a sharp decline, led in the main by stubborn low oil prices, falling output, revenue shortfall, the impact of foreign exchange ban on some 41 items, and a general drop in industrial production. By half year, the economy was already gasping for breath, and the central bank moved in on June the 15th with a new flexible foreign exchange regime.
Complementary administrative measures were also taken towards achieving this goal, among which was the directive to IMTUs to sell forex directly to bureau de change operators in order to improve liquidity in that segment of the foreign exchange market.
But the key challenge for the estimated 160 million people economy was beyond a new foreign exchange system. The Buhari's administration was not injecting massive funding as it drains trillions of naira from the banking system into the Treasury's single account. By July, however, the administration begins some fiscal spending, but its effects were hardly felt as nearly 27 state governments were owing salaries and pensions, and the trickle-down effects start to hit the streets.
When you're in a recession, ideologically, you spend your way out of it. And you spend impactfully, and you spend in such a way that it creates inclusive growth. That means employment. So a recession is defined as contraction in economic activity coupled with high unemployment, weakness in the financial system, and a reduction in confidence.
Grappling with the state of economy now in recession, the Buhari's administration turns to international community for help.
We're going to provide support for $1 billion. That's general budget support. But there are issues around that in terms of policy reforms that the government has committed itself to, which also are part of that, discussion that we have had. But in addition to that, between 2016 and 2017, we're going to invest in total in different sectors, right? A total of, $4.1 billion US dollars in the Nigerian economy.
Now the government securities market, where local investors were smiling with the record yields the government was paying, analysts were concerned about the sustainability of domestic investors' confidence.
The assumption that the government could approach the capital market, that is currently being put to test. The reason is because the monetary policy hand has been tightening, and the liquidity mop-ups have been putting rates at very unsustainably high level, at the money market end.
But while Nigerians will remember the outgoing year for a number of negative reasons, the year 2016 and President Muhammadu Buhari will be remembered for doing away with harrowing queues at the petrol stations, the staunch support of the National Assembly against increase in electricity rates, and the crushing of the wild ride of the deadly Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. Bosin Omofaye for Channel's Business News.
Let's delve into the matters now, and we still have everyone here. This will come to you, Dr. Chizia. Looking at 2016, when all of that broke, I know definitely for economists it will also break your heart that, hey, come on, my nation is in recession. What didn't we do right in the year?
Well, I think that's what you have to say. What you said in your intro, you did say that by 2016, start 2016, we didn't see it coming. It was already there. We all saw the recession. It was coming. The oil price of oil by 2014, mid-2014, was at about $60 per barrel. And then right from that time, it's not gone up. And that was why, when we had a budget 2016, all of us clamored for an expansive, budget. And so the budget we got 2016 was meant, to make sure that we kept the recession that we saw staring us in the face.
So would you say then that the activities of the militants in the Niger Delta also helped in putting us in this situation?
Oh, definitely, because then in terms of our capacity to produce, produce in terms of the volumes of production, at some point in time it went down very far. And so we had issues, not just the price of oil itself, but we had issues in terms of our ability to the volume of production. It was badly affected. And this was caused because when this government came on scene, I think they didn't take the issue of amnesty too seriously. The money that was put for amnesty was cut to about 20 billion naira. Now that we now see that the imperatives of trying to make sure that we have peace in that region, this budget 2016 has now upped it almost 3 times. It has about $65 billion that's been put there for the amnesty program. And so yes, so that affected us.
Dr. Ezekiel Adeleye, please respond to this, if you will. Even though it seemed as if the government tried as much as possible to ease the sufferings of Nigerians, trying to spend, but listening to that report by Mr. Bismarck Rwani says the federal government needed to spend impactfully. But at a point, it seemed as if there were economic saboteurs in the system. It's almost as if willing to trying to make Nigeria not to work, trying to put Nigerians further, deeper into misery.
We can't rule that one out definitely, because we are going to fight forces. When you look at what we did wrong that led to this recession, when we made money from oil, we did not diversify. We remain as a mono economy. When we made money from oil, we did not save. We expended everything. The governors were putting pressure. The sovereign wealth was not there. When we are now making effort now to come out of this recession, you will see that yes, there are saboteurs who are not really ready to allow things to go back to status quo. Why? They were benefiting from it. And you will see this in several ways. The first one, the foreign exchange. The high demand that we have for foreign products, this affects you and I. Every Nigerian, we are all guilty. The taste for foreign biscuits, the taste for foreign rice, the taste for foreign food is all impacting on the foreign exchange. And the dollar demand from the oil is not as high as before, and this is impacting. Again, you are seeing that yes, the developed economy that are exporting their products to this country, of course, will fight back naturally, because the Asians that produces rice are not happy that the lake rice is available. Of course, this will also come in, but then we as a nation, we must be patriotic, we must know what we are for. We must be able to see that, yes, for us to come out of this recession, we must take the battle ourselves. It must be within our own means to see that, yes, we implement policies that will see us out of recession. And this has to do with every one of us putting everything possible to see that during this period we learn our lessons right and the government policies are well implemented and we go by it as well.
So, Comrade Asugune, what didn't we do right? For some, they think that the labor didn't help us in 2016 that much to, perhaps warn the government pretty much more, maybe because of the squabbles within the NLC at that time.
I think the old challenge returned to the government. Somebody must be responsible. It's our duty to do our job, and it's their duty to provide leadership for Nigeria. And I must say clearly that Nigeria Labour Congress, at a point, don't forget, we are not to run the government. And it's only a bad system that you require people to remind you of doing things right. It's only in a bad government that labor will need to fight. And don't forget, this fight, there are strategies to it. There are approach to striking and pushing government. We tried our best to see how we could at least attract reasonable response from the government. But as I speak, all to this last day, government in their response have not been able to express concern for Nigeria economy. Like they are saying about the tragedy we are facing in the economic system today, is clear. Without agenda, I was telling somebody some hours ago that a meeting without agenda basically may end like a drama, because the economic program for this government did not come on time. And even as I speak, 2 years to go, we're yet to get. So it's not about what NSC didn't do right, but it's about the government themselves. Till now, they've not set out a program that will even deliver Nigeria from the recession very clearly. So if we're talking about we're in recession, people should not be anticipating when to get out of recession. Nigeria government was not aware economically about recession. They were telling you that we are not yet there. They were waiting to announce recession as if it's an arrival of gold. They waited at a point and they now announced it to Nigerians to now know that now can clearly tell you that we're in it. But up to today, none is working out any strategy, no plan.
Okay, so let's ask Mr. Comrade, let's ask Mr. Additional. Yes, Mr. Additional, can you kind of respond to that? Nigerians, the president said by December of 2016, there will be a launching of an economic recovery plan. What's the state of this plan? Will it still be launched? Today is the 31st already.
Well, I think it was not the president that said that, it was the Minister for Budget and National Planning. And I also believe part of that was also encapsulated in the budget broadcast that the president made. When he presented the budget to a joint session of the National Assembly, you also had an unfolding of the economic direction in that budget speech. So don't forget that earlier in May this year, there had been a strategic implementation plan from the Budget and Economic Planning Ministry. So if anything will come going forward, that ministry will also make it clearer. It was not the president that said that. I think it was the minister. But if it's something in the works, it will surely come. But talking about recession, no country will love to go into recession. But like I've said earlier, and the lynch mob on social media came after me, I said, recession is not Armageddon, and I stand by it. America has gone into recession 47 different times. It came out of it. Japan, the economy has been in recession for 15 years. Japanese still live, they survive, and they will come out of it. Nigeria will come out of this recession. The president has said it a number of times that this recession will not last long, and I believe it won't. When the recession came, it was the government that announced it and said the economy was technically in recession. And when that same government now says this recession is not going to last long, the onus is on Nigerians to also believe it. I heard Dr. Adeleye say earlier that the government appeared unconcerned about recession and the plight of Nigerians. I think that is not quite right. It's not quite right. The government is very concerned and is doing all that should be done to make Nigeria exit recession in the shortest possible time. Mr. Bismarck Rewani spoke about spending out of recession. That is what Nigeria is doing. Between May, when this year's budget was signed, and November last month, Nigeria had spent 750 billion naira on capital projects. This is meant to stimulate the economy and jack us out of recession. The government is doing all that it can do, and I believe, as the president has assured, this recession will not last long. And before I anchor my point, Dr. Adeleye also spoke about two key issues. When we had money in excess, we didn't save. We didn't save. And then Two, we also didn't utilize the money on infrastructure. They talk about rainy days coming. The rainy days have come, and the rains are beating Nigerians. But then, of course, after the rains, come shine. Another time will come, and prosperity will return to this economy.
Mr. Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media, thank you so much for your time this evening and, of course, sharing your thoughts with us on the issues we've raised on 2016 in retrospect. And for our panelists here in Lagos, thank you so much, Dr. Boniface Chizia, Dr. Ezekiel Adele, and Comrade Amici Asuguni. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. So we'll return after this quick break.
Stay with us.